Hi! Ang pag-uusapan natin today is yung mga nakukuha kong questions na katulad nito. Kailangan ko ba talagang malaman kung autistic yung anak ko? Gusto ko lang naman siyang matutong magsalita. So many have asked me why it's important to even identify the autism, whether bata siya or matanda na sila. And I get it. Mahal kasi ang DevPed assessment. So marami rin gustong malaman kung pwede bang didiretso na lang ako sa therapy. Yan ang topic natin today, kaya tara, usap tayo. Let's get talking. Hi! Kung ngayon lang kayo dito, I'm Teacher Kaye. I'm a registered speech-language pathologist based in Quezon City. Bago natin ituloy ang usapan, I would like to invite you to subscribe to this channel, which is full of videos on speech and language development. Gusto ko lang din magbigay ng disclaimer that while our topic is autism, I am not an expert on autism. It just so happens that I've read extensively on autism because I work closely with autistics and their families and support groups. Yung mga isi-share ko sa inyo ngayon ay my perspectives. And if you have differing beliefs, I hope that it can be a point of discussion and let's stay respectful about it. Actually, nabanggit ko na to before where I admitted na medyo natatakot ako minsan to talk about autism kasi ang dami-daming different schools of thought. And it makes me so scared to offend or insult anyone with my thoughts about it. Pero I also decided na instead of being bogged down by that fear na mapapagalitan ako or mapapahiya ako, I feel like mas lalo nating kailangan pag-usapan kasi dito naman manggagaling ang awareness at lalawak yung kaalaman nating lahat. So here we go. Okay, so I have several main reasons kung bakit importanteng ma-identify yung autism. There may be more reasons out there, pero today I will share to you the 3 big factors that I considered. Number 1, I want people to recognize that autism, based on the medical model of autism, is considered a disorder and a disability. Okay, if there's anyone who disagrees, please hear me out first. And I will actually make a separate video on the different models of autism. Meron akong video that explains the difference between a speech delay and a speech disorder. And in that, the simplest definition that I gave of a disorder is that it does not follow the typical patterns of development. Tagalugin ko lang, ibig sabihin, hindi siya sumusunod sa ating nakasanayan na pagkasunod-sunod na pangyayari sa paglaki ng mga bata. Now, of course, we will start with the typical because it is science. And when we talk about science, to study something further, we need to start with something that we do know. And what we do know, kasi yan ang pinakamarami, ay ang typical development. Now, if disorder just means hindi siya sumusunod dun sa alam natin, and in development, we usually mark these with milestones, then we can say that they are just differently ordered. But because of a lack of a better term, we have the term disorder for that. Now, kung gusto natin, gumawa tayo ng ating sariling term, which is diff-ordered, as in differently ordered. Now, on this note, some of these differences make it harder for individuals on the autism spectrum to complete and manage tasks that may be easier for other neurotypicals. And when there are challenges to doing and completing tasks, we consider that, again in the medical model, as a disability. Now again, there's a separate whole topic na kasalanan ba ng society na nahihirapan sila? Di ba dapat society yung mag-a-adjust? At yan nga ang pag-uusapan ko sa another video about the models of autism. So now that I explained why I want people to understand that it is a disorder and a disability, and if you find the terms disorder and disability offensive or insulting, baka kailangan na nating i-reevaluate yung ating impressions or pagkakaintindi sa words na disorder and disability. Kasi sa totoo lang, wala namang masama sa mga words na ito inherently. Mas lalo kung ang susundin natin ay kung bakit naging ganito ang definition nila at hindi yung mga naging connotations nito sa society. Kasi hindi naman ibig sabihin kung may disorder or disability yung isang tao ay ikinababa na ng pagkatao nila. I guess the biggest thing that I want everyone to take away is that disorder and disability does not make someone weaker or lesser of a person. It's just a different way of being. And when we firstly accept these, there's a bigger possibility that you get to see autism more clearly for what it is. At sana yun yung magiging starting point kung saan una ma-recognize natin at ma-accept natin that there are just different ways of playing, of learning, and experiencing the world. Kasi if we do not accept the disorder and disability of it, we will be ignoring the struggles that they do have and will continue to have. And if we ignore those, paano natin sila matutulungan? And so we move on to number 2. Identification of autism is important for the support system. Kasama dyan sa support system ang mga families, caregivers, and service providers. So why will it help to know that it's autism? Because it will already widen the mindset of how to help and support this individual. For parents, I hope that it will be a starting point to think about, how much do I know about autism? Do I really understand autism? Start to observe for the child's different needs and sensory profile. When I talk about sensory profile, you can go to my video called Repetitive Behaviors or Stimming. Maybe you want to find ways of how to support their special interest. Maybe you want to find your own support system as the support system. And that means joining autism communities. And a very important aspect, do you know who you can call for help as the support system? And for the service providers, yung mga professionals na tutulong dun sa tao, again, will you understand their sensory profile? Will you understand that it is unique for all autistics? Will you find ways to help the child regulate their different sensory input? Will you be more respectful and acknowledge the different ways that the child will play and try to communicate? You will know when to look out for other co-occurring conditions tulad ng childhood apraxia of speech, na meron na din akong video kung ngayon nyo lang narinig yun. Watch out for the child's reactions to situation. Napapansin mo bang mas lalong hindi na lang sila nag-e-engage? Could we be dealing with possible anxieties and later on depression? If you're wondering kung bakit meron akong biglang usapan about anxiety and depression, you can go back to my video on autistic masking or passing. Pinaka-important for me sa service providers, when you know that a child or individual is on the spectrum, are you still writing meaningful goals? You know that because hindi sila sumusunod sa ating nakasanayan na patterns of development that we're not supposed to chase milestones anymore. And then, mas important pa dun sa most important na sinabi ko kanina is your role in coaching, counseling, educating, and empowering the support system at home. Because home is the most important factor here. Helping them set up routines, modify their environment, coming up with better habits so that the child or individual can thrive better. And so for the last reason for identifying autism, is for the autistics themselves. I'm very aware of the labels na nagagamit pa on autistics dahil hindi pa sila naiintindihan ng karamihan. Madalas nasasabihin silang, pasaway lang yan eh. He's just not trying. Ayaw niya. Tinatamad siya. But identifying as autistic, you will know for sure that you're not sick. You're not any of those things that they tell you. You simply are not neurotypical o kung anong nakasanayan ng karamihan. And that you do not need to be neurotypical or pretend to be like one. I want them to know that sometimes their differences will give them more challenges in life. Not so they can feel bad about themselves, but so that they know when to ask for help and that it's okay to ask for help. Autism makes you different. It can be hard. But when they accept themselves and their support system accepts and acknowledges them, that they will know that they will forever be loved, supported, cared for. And for the very last question, so okay lang bang dumiretso sa therapy? And I'm going to answer this in the Filipino setting specifically, and that's knowing na sobra yung demand sa mga DevPed, ang hirap magpa-schedule, at maraming hirap or walang access or financial resources para magpatingin sa DevPed. While you are waiting or habang nag-iipon kayo or naghahanap ng paraan na mapa-assess, pwede na kayong dumiretso sa occupational therapy or sa speech therapy. Meron din naman kaming own assessments, and including that, especially if you have a well-trained and well-informed and experienced practitioner, they will also be able to note those characteristics of autism and be able to adjust accordingly. Kahit na suspicions of autism pa lang. Importante kasing malaman ng maaga. We believe in early intervention for the family and the support system. But what are your other options kung hindi rin kayang magpa-occupational therapy or speech therapy? You can always try to do your own research. Pero syempre, maging mapanuri. Huwag maniwala agad-agad sa lahat ng mga nababasa o nakikita sa internet. Find ways to see if it applies to your own life. All of this should help you clarify what's important to you as the support system. If what's important to you is, gusto ko lang po siyang makapagsalita, gusto ko lang siyang maging katulad ng ibang bata, then I hate to break it to you, but that is unrealistic. Your child or loved one that identifies with autism will never be neurotypical. And please do not try to make them appear more neurotypical. Again, you can watch the video on autistic masking. And instead, we want to realign our goals and we can continue our journey of accepting the children or your loved one for who they are and not who you want them to be or society wants them to be. But again, mahaba at ibang usapan pa yung society na yan. Kaya dito na muna ako magtatapos. If you found this video useful and you think yung mga other relevant topics like this you will want to come back for, please do like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm also on different social media outlets like Facebook, Instagram, not so much TikTok, but it's there. At hanggang sa muli, happy talking at mabuhay!
Also, since autism is a disability, you are eligible to apply for a PWD card. I know it's the least important thing here, but makakatulong rin kahit papano.